Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the Wrestling Challenge review series. We've only got a few more left that I can find, but having 20 or 30 of these is better than what's out there for the most part. Anyway, this is the February 5th, 1989 edition of Wrestling Challenge. This is right around when I became a fan, probably within a month or two, actually. Anyway, so we open with Brutus Beefcake. Brutus Beefcake heading to WrestleMania 5, as is everybody else at this particular juncture in time. Beefcake, of course, wrestling Ted DiBiase at WrestleMania 5. I don't know that we know on this particular edition that that's happening. I know that we probably know within a couple of weeks here, but moving towards WrestleMania in April is a big deal. Of course, Beefcake has come off the feud with the Honky Tonk Man that's going on for several months. Enhancement talent match here. Beefcake doesn't do a great deal of a lot. Kind of shoves him off. Odd that we see a enhancement talent wearing pants normal, but a t-shirt is interesting. I don't know that Vince would be terribly enthralled with that on an enhancement talent these days. Anyway, leapfrogs and a high knee, leaping high knee, almost Harley Race style. Not as good as Harley Race by far, but Beefcake certainly hits that pretty well. And then we kind of go back into the ring. Beefcake manages to hit a couple more punches, clotheslines, and a sleeper hold, which eventually gets him, after body slam, which eventually gets him the win. Of course, his sleeper is a big deal. Cuts the hair of the individual in the ring with him, as is customary during his babyface run. Then we go to an update with Lord Alfred Hayes. We go to a review of the Brother Love show. We kind of do a flashback to superstars from the previous week. Keep in mind that this is, again, on the heels of the attack by Jake Roberts, I believe in October, November, on Saturday night's main event with the snake. And so there is a crushing of a mock snake by Andre. Andre had passed out due to exposure to Damien, but this is not the same here. Jake Roberts in a post-match or post-review promo admitting that, well, he's going to find out the truth about all of that, which he eventually does. Again, Andre goes down for the snake at WrestleMania 5 and then transitions into a feud short-term with Big John Studd, who is here later in the program. Greg Valentine, who is kind of nondescript here in 1989, kind of lacking direction, is in the next enhancement match. Of course, Jimmy Hart with Valentine. This match is super simple, as are most enhancement matches. Valentine, punches, kicks, really basic stuff. Popular with the forearm maneuver, kind of that diving forearm, and then locks in the figure 4 leg lock after dropping several elbows and kind of being very aggressive. Valentine eventually teams up with the Honky Tonk Man for a less than 3-minute match at WrestleMania 5 against the Hart Foundation. They've been working with the Harts. This is after the Superstars of Wrestling edition, wherein the guitar shot on Bret Hart in the back of the head gets done. Valentine hits a back suplex and then locks up into the figure 4. Of course, the figure 4, the lethal move of a Greg Valentine. Then we go to the event center. Nondescript promos. Mr. Fuji promises the powers of pain are good and well under his control. Powers of Pain, of course, moving towards a match with Demolition and a series with Demolition post the Survivor Series 1988, where Fuji turned and aligned with them. Hacksaw Duggan basically does the patriotism thing and talks about fighting with just about everybody to defend America's honor. That is the main focus for him. He moves into a match with Bad News Brown. Again, it's interesting to me that they throw matches together for pay-per-views, with feuds that haven't really begun yet, but then they can turn them into house show feuds if needed. Then we move to um, Jason Knight, I believe, of ECW fame, against Tito Santana. Santana, a couple of months away at the April 2nd, I think was the WrestleMania 5 date. So a couple of, maybe 6 weeks away, 8 weeks away, something like that. From reuniting Strikeforce. Of course, Strikeforce been out of action since WrestleMania, right after WrestleMania 4, probably about a month after. Kayfabe reason, Rick Martel's neck was broken, and real reason, Martel went home to tend to his wife who had cancer at the time. Santana, with a drop kick and then an outside in, pull of the ropes, brings the man back in, works over the arm a bit. Basic stuff here. Sad that Strikeforce didn't have a little bit longer run. They were a good team, and I think maybe they could have drawn it out for 2 or 3 months upon Martel's return. But Martel really wanted to be a heel for the first time, I believe, in his career. Santana stays on the arm and then goes for the flying forearm. Does more of a launching style of the flying forearm this time, gets a victory there. Again, we see advertisements for WrestleMania 5. Biggest thing in the area, Steve Lombardi with Bobby Heenan, the Brooklyn Brawler, who Heenan has chosen to take on after letting go of the Red Rooster, Terry Taylor. So Brawler and Taylor have a good run. I actually like, in this particular enhancement match, Brawler manages to take his hat off. He's kind of wearing I don't know, just kind of a biker top hat. I don't even know what to call it, but he slaps the man in the face with the hat, which is really cool. Kind of backhands him with the hat. Just a cool thing. Anyway, he hits a clothesline on him. Brawler's push is done by SummerSlam. So, certainly, this is a short-term, 2 or 3 month thing. Doesn't really get over to the level they want it to. I remember Brawler, I think, I know he was on at least by the second house show. Might have even been on the first house show I ever went to. Back elbow by the Brawler. Really basic. The most basic stuff. Brawler's been around since about 83, 84. This is his first push and his only real push. Interesting that he was with the company for over 20 years in a backstage role primarily. Hits some body slams, does the Brawler. Brawler goes to the second rope on the inside, hits basically a bombs away, and gets a 3 count. I don't know that I've ever seen him do the bombs away thing there. We go to another Event Center promo series. The Big Boss Man and the Slickster admit that the attack on the Brother Love show that had been done on Hulk Hogan several months ago. I don't know why they're talking about it here. It almost feels like they put the promo in out of sequence, because the attack was several months earlier. It seems like maybe December. And they're going with Hogan Savage, although maybe the Hogan Savage breakup hadn't happened yet. But anyway, and maybe that's why they're going with it. But anyhow, Boss Man says that he premeditated that. Jimmy Hart basically is super proud of the Rougeau brothers becoming U.S. citizens. That's his main focus, and that's a pretty big deal. Hercules, a babyface, going into a match with King Haku at WrestleMania here. Not necessarily ready for it, but it is what it is. He goes in, sends the man into the buckle, gets a few clotheslines, really basic stuff. Interesting that Hercules, his major push by 1989, really over. They do rehab him for the Power and Glory thing. He hits a hanging slam here and then gets the win with the backbreaker. But, his majority of push is up through this time. Then we go to an interview with Mean Gene Okerlund and Outlaw Ron Bass. Bass had his head shaved in January by Brutus Beefcake. Bass doesn't remain in the company much after maybe March or April. He's not on the WrestleMania 5 card, so that'll show you, not a big plan for him. Bass is upset with his hair being shaved. Basically, insists that the head of a cowboy not to be messed with. Then we go to a Brainbusters match. Brainbusters, a couple of months away from winning the tag team championships. Of course, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, one of my favorite tag teams of all time. They go right after Brian Costello and Mark Bow. They're adversaries here. Lots of takedowns. The Rockers are their main opponent. Odd that they don't go with a Rockers versus Brainbusters match at WrestleMania 5. Although that would have left them with, maybe the Twin Towers in Strikeforce, which I don't think they wanted to go for. Uh, Back suplex by Tully Blanchard in ring. Blanchard kind of, constant tags off to Anderson. They cut off the ring quite well. Anderson hits the spine buster, and then they, as a team, as a tandem, hit the spike pile driver, which is my all-time favorite tag team finisher by far. And Brainbusters look like $1,000,000, trying to incite the other people into the ring, and they do a lot of cutoff, a lot of tag work, and the finish is there. But the Brainbusters look to be in really good shape. Then we go to a Bad News Brown squash match right after a WrestleMania 5 promo and a Big John Studd promo. Studd comes back in time, winning the Royal Rumble in 1989. Studd's only been back for maybe 2 months, something like that. Going to be the referee for the Jake Roberts and Andre the Giant match at WrestleMania 5, setting up a Studd versus Andre series of rematches, only they flip-flop. Of course, 84, 85, Studd and Andre, with Andre as the babyface, was a big thing. Of course, huge match at WrestleMania 1, but this time it's flip-flopped. Studd's your babyface, Andre's your heel, but those matches only run from about April to June, as Studd's gone by the summer due to health concerns and all of that. Anyway, Bad News Brown, punch kick. Brown had knee problems, couldn't leave his feet very often, so he was very immobile at this time. Certainly, without a doubt, he hits the Ghetto Blaster, gets a victory going into the WrestleMania 5, obviously, with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The Mr. Perfect says he is, in fact, perfect. There's nothing he can't do, no one he can't beat. This is a interview from just a local area interview, because they don't have a house show coming up, it appears, in the area. And then the Bushwhackers talk about being one of the best teams in the area, and also supporting the fans and all of that. And then we close for today. So hopefully this has been enjoyable for you. We've got over 1,100 audios available for your listening pleasure. We'll be back with more later today, including a SmackDown review. Till next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.